This theme of time is very present in the game. The game is a videotaped recording, a memory in a sense. The end credits are a photo album or a memory. And who records these memories? Well, the oldest character in the game, Brinkley. The whole game is formed of memories of an old, wise woman who lives in a cave, since she is the one who saves and records the videotapes. So the feminine aspect is very powerful in this game. For starters, it's the first game in the series with a female protagonist. The divine entity in this world is also female, the banana bird queen. And as stated, Brinkley is also a divine sort of figure who records the world and the adventure into the screen, into the videotape. In her cave, as she plays the console, you hear the music from Peach's Castle from Mario 64. So you could say that her cave is a castle and that she herself is royalty. In fact, the Game Boy Advance version of this game replaces the caves with sanctuaries or palaces. These are decorated with a sort of solar clocks or solar dials, the same kind as we see on the spellbound Banana Queen's sort of prison. So could these two women embody the same goddess? They're both living in the same sundial of time. The banana birds are encased in crystal shells. They're sort of trapped in caves, like Brinkley is. And once they are saved by the Kongs, they want to return to their mother. And yet, it is Brinkley who serves as a mother figure to them, guarding them until they're ready to leave the cave and unite with their true mother. The sundial, as mentioned, is another time symbol, and it keeps the banana bird queen prisoner. Reuniting her with her children is what breaks the spell and frees her from time back into eternity. It's interesting to note that in the following Donkey Kong adventure, Donkey Kong 64, Brinkley has passed away and is now a ghost, has passed into eternity. The only Kong who actually does become a ghost. The phrase double trouble is a line from Macbeth spoken by the three witches. They say, double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. So the game's title itself refers to the sorceress archetype embodied in Dixie, trapped in time. Brinkley, self-aware of her imprisonment. And then finally, the Banana Queen, who has full awareness of her imprisonment, and therefore this allows her to fly into eternity. The game is very self-aware in other aspects too itself. Brinkley spends her time knitting and weaving, creating. Funky spends his time creating the machines we see in the other games. All of this creative process is hidden in previous titles, but here it comes to the surface. The intro turns the Rareware Nintendo logos into toys, as if the characters know they're inside the console. Returning to the feminine vibe of this game, the soundtrack was composed by Evelyn Fisher, the first time the majority of a Donkey Kong soundtrack had been composed by a woman. Furthermore, she took a new musical direction, much more ambient-based than previous games. In previous games, ambient music had been mostly representative of the water levels, like aquatic ambience, and indeed, it is a very watery, flowy sort of genre. Here, the game itself is much more watery in itself. Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 both take place on islands surrounded by water. But the overworld maps in themselves are generally earthy. You're generally walking on Earth. Here, the map is surrounded by mountains, but the majority of the terrain is watery. You need Funky's vehicles to move through it. It's a mainland, a valley. Now, the Game Boy Advance version intensifies this. It starts the game by showing you sort of an underwater scene, and then as you ascend, it depicts you you get devoured by the Nautilus, the mechanical whale. Then the game could be seen as a gradual ascent from the depths of the water to the source of the stream, to rise up to the surface. It's interesting to note here also that if the character of Kiddy is a golem or a child created by an artisan, by a mechanic, then it also obviously echoes the story of Pinocchio. So it is very appropriate that the whole game could be represented by being trapped in the whale and needing to escape.